It's week 11 of the college football season, and even though the college football regular season is coming down to a close, the good thing is these games matter that much more. So now we're really getting into the thick of things right as we enter into the bowl season. Let's predict all the games. We start things off with maybe the best game of the week, potentially. BYU versus Texas Tech. This is not a top 25 matchup. This is a top 10 matchup. Undefeated BYU going to Texas Tech. Texas Tech has one loss to Arizona State. Unbelievable game here. Unbelievable game that has a huge effect on the Big 12 standings and where everything might fall in the Big 12. I mean, shit. This game might be a potential Big 12 championship preview. With that being said, the line in this game is insane. I mean, absolutely insane. Texas Tech are 10.5-point favorites. That's crazy. BYU is undefeated. This game should be like a 5-point spread, 4-point spread. 10.5 is insane. Vegas is rolling with Texas Tech. And not only do they think Texas Tech is going to win this one, they think Texas Tech is going to win big. I don't know. BYU has been disrespected this entire season. They were dogs at home versus Utah. They were dogs versus Iowa State. There's been so many times this season where BYU has just been disrespected, and this is yet another example of it. A sharp bet here is Texas Tech against the spread. It is. If you're a sharp bettor, if you know what you're doing, you're betting Texas Tech minus 10.5, for sure. However, I have some bias in this game. I want that Utah versus BYU Holy War Big 12 championship game. I do. And the only way that can happen is if Texas Tech loses and BYU wins. I need BYU to win out, and I need Texas Tech to lose out, and I need Utah to win out as well. So I'm going BYU. I'm going BYU to cover. I'm going BYU to win. Due to my own bias, I will not be betting it. Frankly, BYU against the spread is very easy. It's a very easy bet. It's like a layup. It just tells me that Texas Tech is going to run up the score big here, and it's going to be like a 21-point win. Maybe it'll be like a 7-point game, and then Texas Tech scores like a touchdown late to put it 14 points. It's a weird spread. But I'm praying for that BYU win and Texas Tech to lose. I want Texas Tech to lose. So I'm not betting this game, but I will have a rooting interest. BYU to cover, BYU to win. No bet for me on this one, but I'm really pulling for BYU here. Next game, we have Indiana at Penn State, a game that was supposed to be an amazing one, but of course, Penn State, wait, hold on the camera. All right, I fixed it. So, a game that was supposed to be great, but of course, Penn State fucked themselves, shit themselves, shot themselves in the foot, and they're garbage. Fired their head coach, quarterback's injured. Yet, it's a 14.5-point spread. I'm not betting this one because there's no fucking way I'm laying 14.5 on the road. But Indiana's going to win this one, obviously. Indiana is going to run up the score, obviously. Kurt Cigarette runs the score up. We know what he does. He's not one of those coaches that plays nice. He's going to run the score up, especially versus a team like Penn State. And even though it's not, the same old Penn State, it's a Penn State team that is still Penn State. It's got the name value. So yeah, Indiana to win, Indiana to cover. No bet for me on this one. I don't feel confident enough laying 14.5 on the road. But Indiana has shown time and time again they can run up the score versus anybody. Plus, they're undefeated, looking unbelievable. Unbelievable Indiana football this team is playing. So yeah, Indiana wins, Indiana covers. No bet for me on this one. I'm too scared to bet it, if we're being honest. Next game, we have Georgia versus Mississippi State. I think this line is atrocious. It's egregious. It's asinine. How in the world are Mississippi State 9.5-point favorites? This should be like 13.5, 14. What in the world is going on here? I'll tell you what's going on here. Mississippi State is getting the respect they deserve. This Mississippi State team, I feel like I talk about them every fucking week, does it. They do this shit. They win. They don't win. They cover games like this, and they push these good teams to the limits. Look at the performance Mississippi State had against Texas, against Arkansas, against Tennessee, against Florida. They keep doing this shit. And this is yet another example of them doing this shit. Give me Mississippi State plus 9.5. Official play. I ride and I die with Mississippi State. They've been covering for your boy, and I'll keep riding with them. They covered for me versus Texas. They covered for me versus Arkansas. And yet again, they're going to cover for me here at home. Don't get me wrong. Georgia's winning this game. I would be shocked if Georgia loses this game. But you know what I expect? A game exactly like that Texas game. Mississippi State's going to be up in the fourth quarter. They're going to be leading. It's looking like they're going to pull away. And then Georgia doing the same old bullshit Georgia does this entire season, essentially. They wake up in the fourth and score and win. But 9.5 is obvious to me that this is a trap game. This should be a much higher spread for Georgia. Georgia's significantly better than Mississippi State. Now, I still would take Georgia to win if you're going to take anything in this game. But I'm taking Mississippi State plus 9.5 all day long. Mississippi State plus 9.5 is too goddamn easy. It's an official play for your boy. I'm riding with Mississippi State. Georgia's good, but you've seen what they do this year. They wake up in the fourth. They don't play all that well in the first half. And this is going to be another example of this. Mississippi State plus 9.5. Official play. Next game. Next we have Kansas versus Arizona. Arizona at home. 5-point favorites. Interesting game here. I don't think either of these teams are going to really make any noise, and obviously they won't. Kansas for sure won't. Arizona, if things fall their way, but even then, I doubt it. Simply put, line's a little big for me here. I'm not betting this one, obviously. I'm not sold on anything, but I would take Kansas. Kansas plus 5.5. I think Arizona, not Arizona. I keep confusing Arizona and Arizona State. Arizona could win this, and they should win this. But the 5.5 is intriguing. I don't see it being like a blowout. Arizona wins on a game-winning field goal, one of those type of games. I would take Kansas plus 5.5. Arizona to win. No bet for me on this one, but I would really strongly lean towards Kansas. Maybe Arizona takes an early lead. You take Kansas on a better line. You catch them plus 7. It's not a bad. I wouldn't mind taking a Kansas plus 7. So yeah, Kansas plus 5.5. Arizona to win. That's my prediction for this game. Not a significant enough game for me to really, bet on hard. Next, we have Iowa State versus TCU. TCU pretty big favorites versus Iowa State. And look, Iowa State is dead. They're done. It's over. They keep losing, and there's no way they're bouncing back. But 7.5 feels a bit crazy. Don't get me wrong. TCU is nice. But 7.5 is wild. And I know Iowa State's coming off a loss to Arizona State, in which Arizona State had their backup quarterback playing. But still, I don't know. What you think? TCU's going to run up the score? This is one of those games where they want you to bet heavy on TCU, knowing Iowa State's dead. And this is where Iowa State comes out of nowhere and actually probably wins this game. I'm not going to bet this one, but I would take Iowa State to cover and Iowa State to win. As crazy as it sounds. I'm not betting it. I don't feel comfortable enough actually putting money on this shit. But this just feels like a trap game written all over it. All over it. I wish I was more confident in Iowa State. But at this point in the season, I can't risk it because they're playing for nothing, essentially. What possibly could it mean for them to win this one? Nothing. I'm talking about from a bigger perspective of playoffs, Big 12 championship. And that's out for them. They're not going to the Big 12 championship. They're not going to the playoffs. Bowl games or whatever. I don't consider bowl games all that important anymore because of the playoff. So, Iowa State, I don't know what they're playing for, but this just feels like one of those games where they go out and they upset TCU on the road, having no business upsetting them just because of how the season has gone. So Iowa State to cover, Iowa State to win is my pick for the video's sake, but no bet for me on this one. I'm staying away from these Big 12 matchups. Honestly, they're a little bit scary. Next game, we have Oregon versus Iowa. This is an intriguing one. This one is super intriguing. It feels like so many people are giving such respect to Iowa. And what's funny about that, this is a little bit of a low line. Don't get me wrong. Oregon should be bigger favorites. But I feel like every video I watch, everything I read, people are like, Iowa, man. Don't sleep on Iowa. Look at Iowa. They're going to come out there, beat Oregon. All of a sudden, they might actually make a run, potentially even squeeze into the playoffs. I doubt it. I'm going to be honest, I doubt it. Iowa's nice. Good defense, good running game. You got to do what you got to do. Oregon's on another echelon. It's, Iowa's here, Oregon's here. They're not on the same level. And I feel like people are giving too much respect to an Iowa team who offensively will not be able to match the output of Oregon. I'm not the biggest fan of laying points on the road, but in a case like this, I gotta do it. Give me Oregon! -6.5! Official play! Hell yeah! I genuinely think people are overrating the fuck out of Iowa. And this might be a little bit of a low line, a little bit of a trap spread. Maybe. I think Oregon runs up this bitch heavy. Runs up the score bad. I mean like a 42 to like 17 type of game. I don't think Iowa's even in the ballpark. And part of this as well, I think that people's logic is like, look at the game Iowa had versus Indiana, and then look at the game Oregon had versus Indiana. Oregon lost that one, I'm pretty sure, at home. And then Iowa really kept it close versus an Indiana team that's very, very good. So people are like, oh, look at the performances against Indiana. This is a trap game, right? Blah, blah, blah. Iowa at home. People are overrating Iowa. I really think so. Oregon's like that. That loss versus Indiana was a tough loss, yes, but I'm not taking too much away from it. Oregon's running up this bitch. I think Oregon is a legit team this year. I haven't given up on them. You know, they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, well-balanced attack. The defense is solid. This isn't the same old Oregon team as you usually see. Iowa is not the same old Iowa team, but come on. Their offense isn't all that. Until I see a really good Iowa offense, maybe then I'll consider them give them a little bit of respect. Oregon to win, Oregon to cover. That Oregon 6.5 is an official play. I think Oregon runs up the score here. And you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of taking road favorites, especially in college football. But in a position like this, I got to do it. Oregon -6.5. I might be falling into the trap, but fuck it. I want to be in the trap. Oregon -6.5 official play. Next game we have Texas A&M versus Missouri. Similar game here, by the way. Texas A&M 6.5 point favorites against Missouri. Some books you can get Missouri +7. Obviously, key number. Get that Missouri +7 if you're betting on it. You know, I would have loved this game had Missouri quarterback Prabula, whatever his name is, had been healthy. He's not. He's out for the year. So this is a tough one because, you know, Missouri's playing with a backup quarterback, I think a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, going up against the Texas A&M defense that's very, very good. And not only is the Texas A&M defense that's very, very good, the Texas A&M team in general, very strong, very strong. Offensively, defensively. And the key, it's not like they're one of those teams that squeeze by in those road games. They win the road games. They're undefeated this year, by the way, might I add. The best SEC team as of this point. Undefeated. Have not lost. They went into Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame. They've beaten teams on the road. It's not like this is one of those teams where you don't know how they're going to perform on the road. They're a team that performs well on the road. It feels like this line is so short, though. Like, why 6.5? It feels low as fuck. Even the 7. It's like, I don't know. Missouri with a backup. I want to take this as an official play, but I'm not going to. I'm too fucking scared. I'm scared of doing it, but I'll say Missouri covers the spread. Texas A&M wins this game. It's too scary for me to do. I'm going to be honest. It's too scary. Like, why is Missouri so low? It should be higher. Should be like a 10-point spread. And I know on the road it's crazy, but A&M has shown you this whole season, offensively, defensively, they can do it all. Missouri with a backup, it's tough. No bet for me on this one. I'm like, guys, like I'm really like debating on it right at the spot here, like taking that Missouri +7. I'm not going to do it. No bet for me on this one. Missouri to cover, A&M to win. Do not touch this game. Not even in a parlay, A&M money line. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. Missouri scores the first touchdown or Missouri takes a lead at one point, you can get A&M at a good price. I guarantee it. Then I would have been more confident I'd take A&M. Maybe at a Missouri +14, but I wouldn't be surprised if A&M runs up the score. So it's a tough one here. A&M to win, Missouri to cover. No bet for me on this one. I'm holding myself back here. I really am. Yeah. Next game we have Auburn versus Vanderbilt. Auburn, an absolute shit show. Hugh Freeze is gone. Oh my God. No clue who's starting at quarterback for Auburn in this game. And quite frankly, don't care. Don't care. This is a bounce back spot for Vanderbilt. They lost, I was going to say they lost badly to Texas, and they kind of did, but the score in that game doesn't necessarily indicate that because they did play very, very well in the fourth quarter to cover the spread, by the way, or push the spread at least. So yeah, Vandy in this game, it's a bounce back spot. Tough loss to Texas. But you've seen time and time again, they're a good team. Yet, they've struggled the last few weeks. You've seen how poorly they played versus Texas for the majority of that game. And even that win versus Missouri, it wasn't a convincing one. It really wasn't. But I think Auburn sucks. I was on the Auburn train, to start the season. But I think Auburn is in full-blown disarray at this point. I don't know how their assistant head coach or the interim head coach, I should say, is going to perform. No idea how the quarterback's going to perform. Auburn might come out here and just ball out. They really might. And they might keep this game close, maybe even win it. But on the road in Vanderbilt versus a mad Vanderbilt team that's coming off a tough loss that may have essentially ended their playoff hopes. Vandy is not only going to win this game, but they're going to run up the score to make a statement to the rest of the SEC and the nation. Give me Vanderbilt -6. Official play. Official play. Official play. I love Vanderbilt in this position. I think Vanderbilt is going to win. They're going to win big. I don't think Auburn's offense, just because Hugh Freeze is gone, does not mean Auburn's offense is just going to wake up and be amazing. They might perform better, the interim head coaching boost, even though it doesn't really exist in college football like it does in the NFL. But nevertheless, they might perform better, but Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt. One tough loss to Texas is not going to change anything. They played really poorly that game. They've had two pretty poor games back-to-back. This is the game where they bounce back and show everybody how big they are, how strong they are, and how good they are. Give me Vanderbilt -6. Vandy wins this game. Vandy covers. Official play. I don't like laying points, guys. College football, I like the dog. I mean, I like the dog in every sport, but I really like the dog in college football. And I'm laying a lot of different points here. You see my picks this week thus far, official plays. They're all laying points, essentially. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Vandy, -6, official play. Lock that in. I love it. Next game. Next, we have Washington versus Wisconsin. I'm going to talk about this game quickly because it's not a really important game. Wisconsin sucks balls, and Washington's pretty decent. I am scared of Washington in this position. I'm a little bit worried that, they might lay an egg and potentially even lose this one. But this is one of those games where I think Washington knows they're in that fringe playoff area where maybe they go on a little run and potentially sneak in. I don't think it happens, but it could happen. And the fact that that's in their mind is an important indication for how they'll play this game. I'm going to take Washington here, believe it or not. And not only am I taking them to win and cover, it's an official play. Yup! Washington! -10.5. Official play. Wisconsin sucks. Wisconsin sucks. You know that. I know that. We all know that. This could be a statement game for Washington, where they go into Wisconsin and they blow them out the water. They blow them out the water. I believe it. I really do. I'm big on this Washington team. I think they're really good. I think Wisconsin sucks. Washington knows in order to make a playoff case, they have to win big. This is the type of game where you win big. 10.5 points is a lot of points. I know it is, but it's a game that I think Washington will cover relatively easily, win by 20 plus. I do. Washington on the road, -10.5, official play. I wasn't going to predict this game at all. I wasn't going to bet it at all. But I got to. I love Washington here. Next game. Next we have Florida State versus Clemson. 7 o'clock kickoff, like a primetime game in the Who's Gonna Get Fired Bowl. This is the Who's Gonna Get Fired Bowl. Both coaches are on the hot seat. Norvell, Dabo. Obviously Dabo, he has a lot more wiggle room. The guy is a national championship winner. It's Dabo. He won with Deshaun Cosby and T-Law. But, as of late, the Clemson team sucks. Pretty much an even game. Vegas is saying, Clemson is a slight favorite, and I think the only reason they're a slight favorite is because they're at home. Yet, you see the way Clemson has played these, last couple of games I should say not even that. The whole season, they struggle at home. It's funny. They're not the greatest team at home. They lost to LSU to start the year. Lost last week to Duke, even though they should have won that game, should have covered. It is what it is. And they keep losing at home. They're not a great team at home, surprisingly enough. Florida State started off super hot this year and then cooled down significantly until last week. Last week they played Wake Forest at home, I think it was, and they blew Wake Forest out the water. And that was a big statement win. And I think a win like that is huge for a team like FSU. I think it helps them mount the momentum back because you saw the moment they lost that game to Virginia, everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. And they could not find their footing anymore. I'm scared. Because Florida State on the road is not the same team as Florida State at home. But you can say the same for a lot of different college teams. And you can argue that a Clemson team at home isn't all that impressive. I think the Florida State defense is much better than Clemson's defense. And I think offensively, these two teams kind of match up equally. I'm taking Florida State. And that's an official play! Yup! Official play! Florida State on the road! Money line! That's a money line official play, baby. Official play. I love it. I really do. I think Florida State is coming off a huge win, while Clemson is coming off a devastating loss. This could be a blowout. Clemson might blow out Florida State, but I think the Florida State defense is pretty solid. I think offense is doing their thing. They're mounting the momentum. Their season's over, right? You could argue both teams' seasons are over, but Florida State, for some reason, feels like they're going to play a lot harder. And I am worried because a lot of reports say, Florida State ain't respecting Mike Norvell the way they used to. But then again, they were saying that after the Stanford game. But then you saw the performance Florida State had last week versus Wake Forest. I don't know. I'm rolling with Florida State here. This is probably my riskiest official play of this week and probably the game I like the least out of the official plays, but I like it enough to take Florida State plus 100 money line all day long. I think Florida State wins this one straight up. I think Clemson's done. I'm not sold on Clemson whatsoever. Castellanos was going to have a big game. You saw how poor the Clemson defense played versus Duke, and I think the Florida State offense is even better than the Duke offense. Florida State's going to run up this bitch, and Clemson's not going to be able to stop them. Scary play, yes, but it is what it is. Florida State, money line, official play, next game. Next, we have LSU versus Alabama. Again, another game that was supposed to be very good, but it's shit. LSU obviously fired their head coach, Brian Kelly. He's a bum. LSU sucks this year. Alabama's very, very good. Aside from that loss in Florida State in week 1, they've been unstoppable. Undefeated in SEC play. So, this team is crazy good. I'm not going to bet this one. I'm not confident enough. Line feels right. Maybe could be a little bit bigger towards Alabama, but line feels pretty right. I think Alabama wins this one. I think Alabama covers. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a backdoor LSU cover. I would not be surprised. That's why I'm not betting this game. But there's no way LSU wins this game. No way. Alabama's better defensively. Alabama's better offensively. This is probably going to be a low-scoring game, so if you like in those over-unders, I would take the under. But I'm not betting over-under. So yeah, I'll take Alabama to win, Alabama to cover. In a game that in theory would be a lot better, but I'm not really going to probably even pay attention to it, if we're being honest. I'm just surprised, very surprised that LSU's playing as poorly as they have, especially Nussmeier. But then again, it's Brian Kelly's fault. That's why it's a weird game, because they might come out there, be happy that Brian Kelly got fired, and play Alabama to the absolute limit. Imagine LSU wins this game. Can you guys imagine if LSU wins this game? That would be something else. So I'll take Alabama to win, Alabama to cover. Yeah, no bet for me on this one. I don't want anything to do with this one game. Next, we have Florida versus Kentucky. And I think the last game of this week that we're predicting. Yes, this is the last game we're predicting. Florida versus Kentucky. Look. I don't like this line. I don't like this line at all. It looks trappy as hell. And I know Kentucky's a decent team, playing well. But Florida's coming off a performance where they looked very, very good versus Georgia. And played very, very well. New head coach, right? They fired Napier. Yet the line is so weird. 3 points? Florida's only 3-point favorites? I know they're on the road, but still. I'm scared. Because Kentucky's also coming off a huge win, and I mean ginormous win, versus Auburn, which they were pretty big dogs. I think they were on the road in that game too. So it's tough. It's tough. Now Kentucky's at home playing Florida. Maybe this is the, books giving the respect. Kentucky with a huge win. Florida relatively struggling this entire season. But I think this new head coach has given Florida a newfound life, new inspiration. And you saw how well Florida played the end of last season. And that's why they had all this hype going into this season. I think the hype is still there. They can run the ball well. Lagway, when he's not being an idiot, plays well. I think this is a weird line, but I'm falling into a trap if I have to. Give me Florida! -3! Official play! I like Florida here. I think Florida wins this game straight. I think they cover the spread. I don't think Kentucky's all that. I think Kentucky was just lucky they played a shitty-ass Auburn team that could not move the ball. The final score was like 10-3. That wasn't impressive at all. Well, Florida went toe-to-toe with Georgia. Huge difference. Huge difference. So I think Florida wins this game pretty comfortably. I think a Lagway legacy game. He's going to ball out. I think Florida is going to make a statement in this game. The fact that it's 3 points is atrocious. I could be falling right into the trap. I really could. Kentucky might win this game straight up. But something tells me Florida wakes up like they did last year at the end of the season and balls out. Give me Florida -3. Official play. Those are my predictions for Week 11 of the college football season. Every single one of these games matters because now we're really coming down to the end of the season. Playoffs, championships, it's going to matter. It's all going to matter. Let's see how my official plays do this week. Hopefully I become college football again and run up the score, but we'll see. You never know. I could go shit again. Predictions for Week 11. Stay tuned for more content coming soon.